Welcome, everybody. If you're out in the getting a bagel or signing in, you can please head in here and we're going to get started. My name is Rai Sigelko and I'm the director of the Leadership Center for Social Justice, and we're one of the organizations here at United and outside of United that are putting on this event, Spirit of Water, a celebration with Mississippi River. And we're so grateful that you decided to come out this morning on a Saturday morning in the summer. Although the air quality is not what we'd like it to be, we're grateful to have you with us here and to be celebrating Mississippi River together, to be learning about water, to be building community with one another as we seek to protect the water for future generations. And I'm going to hand it over to Justin, Dr. Sabia-Tanis, who's a professor here at United Theological Seminary, and he will lead us in an opening ritual. If you didn't get a name tag, by the way, there are name tags. We'd love for you to put your name on there if you don't mind. And we do have a sign-up sheet if you don't mind leaving your name and email so that we can be in touch with you in the future about other events that we will hopefully be putting on. So thanks so much again.
Great. My name is Justin Sabia-Tanis, as Rai said, and I'm delighted to welcome you here for this celebration of the earth, for this opportunity to rejoice and to cherish Mississippi River and our planet so that we might strengthen and renew our commitment to safeguard and protect these vital sources of our lives. So we're going to gather for just a few moments of reflection and prayer together as we get ready to learn, to celebrate, to laugh, to be a part of this day. Can you click 2 slides, please? Could you please join me in the call to worship? Your part is the bold. You are the bold. Life is ending, God gives another.
Amid the finite, praise the infinite.
Love is a spring. Submerge.
Every separate drop of new life.
We begin with a reading from the Jewish prophet Ezekiel. God shows Ezekiel a temple, and under the temple flows a great river. And here is the description of the river. God said to me, "Mortal, have you seen this?" Then God led me back along the bank of a river, and as I came back, I saw on the bank of the river a great many trees on the one side and on the other. God said to me, "This water flows towards the eastern region and goes down into the Arabah. And when it enters the sea of stagnant waters, the water will become fresh. Wherever the river goes, every living creature that swarms will live. And there will be very many fish once these waters reach there. It will become fresh and everything will live where the river goes. People will stand fishing beside the sea from En-Gadi to En-Eglam. It will be a place for the spreading of nets. Its fish will be of a great many kinds, like the fish of the great sea. But its swamps and marshes will not become fresh. They are to be left for salt. And on the banks on both sides of the river there will grow all kinds of trees for food. Their leaves will not wither nor their fruit fail, but they will bear fresh fruit every month, because the water for them flows from the sanctuary. Their fruit will be for food, and their leaves for healing." And a reading from the modern prophet, Toni Morrison, writing about the Mississippi River. "The act of imagination is bound up with memory. You know, they straightened out the Mississippi River to make room for houses and livable acreage. Occasionally, the river floods these places. Floods is the word they use, but in fact, it is not flooding, it is remembering. Remembering where it used to be. All water has a perfect memory and is forever trying to get back to where it was. Writers are like that, remembering where we were, what valley we ran through, what the banks were like, the light that was there, and the route back to our original place. It is emotional memory, what the nerves and the skin remember, as well as how it appeared. And a rush of imagination is our flooding. And now I introduce our student and colleague, Do Hoyer.
Hi, I'm a student at United, Social Transformation and Interreligious Chaplaincy. And this song, I would love to teach you all and invite you to sing with me. This is a song that that came to me as I was sitting with the river. And for me, it's really about the remembering of our interconnection with water. And so I invite you to also kind of bring whatever meaning you're bringing to these words as well, because there's an openness to them. So I'll teach you two parts of the song. So the first lower part goes, river, river, it's been a long time. Try that. River, river, it's been a long time. Yet even so by your shores I find. Yet even so by your shores I find I am kind, I am kind, I am kind, I am kind. Yeah, and we can also think of that word kind as like kindred, right? So we'll just keep singing that. River, river, it's been a long time. And so by your shore I find I am kind, I am kind. River, river, been a long time. Even so by your shore I am kind, I am kind. River, river, it's been a long time. Yet even so your shores I find I am kind, I am kind. Beautiful. So then there's a second voice. Same words, and it goes, river, river, it's been a long time. Try that. River, river, it's been a long time. Yet even so by your shores I find. Yet even so by your shores I find I am kind, I am kind, I am kind, I am kind. And then I'll just keep breaking that down. So, river, river, it's been a long time. River, river, it's been a long time. Yet even so by your shores I find. Yet even so by your shores I find I am kind, I am kind, I am kind, I am kind. River, river, it's been a long time. Yet even so by your shores I find I am kind, I am kind. River, river, it's been a long time. Yet even so by your shores I find I am kind. maybe I'll cue this side to do that lower part, and then bring this part in to do the second part, and then we'll just sing a harmony together. All right, so over here. River, river, it's been a long time, yet even so by your shores I find I am kind, I am kind. River, river, it's been a long time, yet even so by your shores I find I am kind, I am kind. River, river, it's been a long time, yet even so by your shores I find I am kind, I am kind. River, river, it's been a long time, yet even so by your shores I find I am kind, I am kind. River, river, it's been time, yet even so by your shores I find I am kind, I am kind. River, river, it's been a long time, even so by yours I find I am kind, I am kind. River, river, it's been a long time, yet even so by your shores I find I am kind, I am kind. River, river, it's been a long time, yet even so by your shores I find I am kind, I am kind. Thank you. Thank you for singing that with me.
Thank you, Doe. Let us take a moment and pray with Mississippi, pray for the river and for our lives. Will you pray with me, please? Holy Spirit, be with us now, flowing among us like living water, healing, sustaining, and nourishing all you touch. We offer our profound gratitude for Mississippi River, source of life for beings who dwell on water, on land, and in the air. We rejoice in the vibrant plants, animals, birds, and insects within the rivers and upon the banks, part of the magnificent beauty of this place. The walleye, catfish, and bass, ducks, eagles, and herons, dragonflies, mayflies, and spiders, for the cattails, lilies, and grasses, and so much more. We are aware and sorrowful for the pollution which has poisoned the river and the living beings dwelling within the water. We take responsibility for our role in this harm, and we resolve to do more to safeguard this treasure. We are aware and joyful for the presence of the river in our lives, source of our water for drinking, cooking, bathing, and swimming, a place to reflect, a place to be. We acknowledge that we rely on Mississippi for our lives and well-being, and we resolve this day to cherish her ever more deeply. May we truly celebrate on this day and every day the gift and spirit of water, the source of life and flourishing. And in your many names we pray. Amen. Go in peace in the spirit of the water. We have wonderful workshops for you now. We'll have four now and 45 minutes from now. The list of the workshops is on those pillars. And are there other announcements that need to be made? We should do a couple logistics. I guess there's food and coffee in the kitchen. The restrooms are right behind this wall here. We have men's and women's restrooms and gender inclusive restrooms, and a water fountain in that vicinity as well. Are there other logistics you want to share, Rye?
I think you named them all, but just to note that this is the chapel, and the names of the rooms, I guess. This is the intersection. And then we have two rooms down here, room 165 and room 167, where there will be workshops. And as Justin said, you'll see the names, the titles of the workshops on the entryway to each of those rooms. So there are 4 currently happening. We have, or that will be happening at 10, water rituals in the chapel. In the intersection, we'll have native prairie restoration. In room 165, water threads woven together, water, connection, well-being. And then in room 167, a climate conversation, much more than talking. So feel free to find a room that sort of interests you, and yeah, we'll begin right after this.
Do you want to share since we won't be gathered all together, do you want to share the last 4 set of workshops?
Yes.
Sorry, am I making you juggle
So
papers?
then,
I apologize.
from there at 10:45, in the chapel, what the land wants to grow, how bioregional intimacy and agroecology will help us eat for an earth-friendly future. In the intersection, mapping relationship with Mississippi. In room 165, a tale of 2 rivers. In room 167, Shawano's Waters, a case study of encroachment.
Great.
And that's it.
The last thing I want to say is I want to thank the students from the environmental ethics class here at United this summer, who are some of our workshop leaders. And just so folks are aware, all of our workshops will be both online and in person, and some of our presenters will be some of our distant students from around the country who are sharing with us. So join us in our flexible hybrid space today, and we're delighted to have you here present with us and online with us today. Mimi, did you have a question or announcement?
Which I hadn't thought of till right now. My name is Mimi Goodwin, and I wanted to let people know that there is a water walk happening in August that will go all around Lake Superior.
Oh.
And it's in celebration and honoring of when Josephine, 25 years ago, made that walk. And you can find more information on nibbiwalk.org.
Great. And I think after the last workshop, we'll gather together for lunch and directions on going down to Hidden Falls, correct?
That's right. Lunch and then Hidden Falls after this, so it's a full day we have planned.
Great.
Thanks.
So enjoy yourself. Please let us know how we can make you welcome and comfortable in this space. Thanks.
I need the cherries and the salt up by the bowl of water. Mm-hmm. No. Justin, this is helping me deal with my rejection issues here. Everyone left.
You got people on Zoom. All of that can go away. Colette was on the sheet. Yes, I think you can go ahead and start.
Okay.
You ready?
All right. Welcome, everyone. We are glad that you are with us this morning. My name is Jeanne Bringgold-Pro, and I am part of the Eco-Justice and Ethics class here at United. I'm co-presenting with Colette, who you see on, hello there, Colette, hello. I'm co-presenting with Colette this morning. She is from Eden Seminary. Water is the essence of life, and today we're all focused on its significance. Now we will celebrate a water ritual to give thanks for this precious resource. We hope that you will find it meaningful. Please join me in a spirit of prayer. O Heavenly Parent, Father, and Mother of us all, bless us this morning with your presence. Be with us as we give thanks to you for the blessings of water. May this water be poured out over people, places, and things so that your great power moves over them. May this water bless all who touch it, and may all of them experience your peace of heart and mind. Fill us all with your pure love. Amen. Colette?
Hi. Now I'd like to ask if you would like to introduce yourself and tell us what you would hope to gain from this ritual. And if you wish, tell us your favorite memory of water. So, Jeanne, why don't you start with the people in the room?
My favorite memory of water is before my husband and I got married 15 years ago. We took a circle trip. We did the circle tour of Lake Superior. And it was a wonderful experience. Number one, it helped us get to know each other a lot better before we got married. And number two, I was able to see the variety of Lake Superior. I had not been aware that over in the Michigan part of Lake Superior, they actually have white sand beaches. And I was amazed at the diversity and so forth of the Mississippi River. So I think that's my favorite memory.
Anyone in the room want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Pan. My pronouns are they, them. And I don't know. I think I was looking for inspiration today. That's why I am drawn to water rituals, because I am wanting to facilitate more and more opportunities for ritual. Hi, Jeanne.
Hi, Jeanne. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. We were in class like 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Something like that.
And a memory I have of water, I have many, many, many memories. So it's hard to pick one. I think one time at one of my summer camps, myself and a few of our key staff, it was actually the last year that camp ran under my supervision, and we snuck out with canoes. Usually it's the kids that sneak out, and so it was interesting for us adults to be like, oh, the kids are sleeping, and we snuck around camp, quietly took the canoes, and our camp has beautiful sunsets because it looks to the west, but we never see the sunrise. So our goal was to finally see a sunrise on the water, and it was delightful. It was very sneaky.
Good morning, I'm Rachel. My pronouns are she, her, and I love rituals. I'm hoping to become a chaplain, so rituals are a really powerful tool in chaplaincy. And my favorite memory of water is, I don't know if I have one. I love hot springs, so anytime I've been in hot springs and waterfalls.
You don't have to introduce yourself if you don't feel comfortable.
I am the beloved chauffeur of Jeanne. No, I grew up in Bemidji, not that far from Bemidji, so almost my entire childhood was spent around Lake Bemidji or some of the other lakes. I remember picnics by the lake. I remember swimming in the lake, and I remember fishing on the lake.
I'm Justin Sabia-Tanis, he, him. My favorite memory of water, well, fairly recent memory, is last year we rode the Mickelson Trail in South Dakota, in the Black Hills. So it's a long bike ride. So we did 50 miles of bike riding and came down through the prairie. It was very hot. And the person who was our roadie for this trip greeted us and said she had made reservations at a hot springs. And so we went from this like dry, dusty, gross and sweaty bike riding into this fabulous spa with rain showers and hot springs, and it was so healing and refreshing. So it was just delightful. And also, she's always going to be my roadie every time I do a bike trip from now on, because that was a brilliant idea.
Good morning. My name is Mimi Goodwin, and I'm delighted to be here. Only one memory of water. Oh, so it's been wonderful to just picture. So, Sitka, Alaska is another place of home for me, and the first time I went out on the water, I saw more whales on that one trip than I had seen in my whole life. And there were so many all around. So that's the memory that I landed with to share today. It was just beautiful, and the sound of the whales. I think particularly at this time where there's so much urgency around protecting the water, rituals continue to center me, whether I'm participating in one or creating and facilitating one. So I'm delighted to be here and learn some more choices.
Thank you.
Would the students in the room like to introduce themselves? Paul?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Paul Burden. I'm a pastor in Cincinnati, Ohio at St. Peter and St. Paul United Church of Christ. and I'm a student in the MA program in Ethics and Justice. And I'm very glad to be here. I'm hoping to learn and grow from water ritual to think more deeply, help me think more deeply about water and connect to water as a source of faith and spirituality. And my favorite memory of water is regarding the beach. I love the beach. I love swimming in the ocean, and I love the feel of salt water. And while I try not to ingest it while I'm in the water, even if I get some in my mouth, I love the taste of salt water too. So I'm thankful for the ocean and for all water.
Yeah, I'm Uriah Williams, he, him pronouns. I'm in my second to last semester here at United. I came here to support my classmates, and also I serve a church here in Shawnee, and would love to do more rituals with them besides our main centered Christian ritual of baptism that involves water. Would love to expand that. And Mimi jogged my memory on a very near and dear memory, as she mentioned, seeing whales. When I was growing up, my dad was going to seminary in Maine, and so I spent time on the Atlantic Ocean at times. And I remember as a 4 or 5-year-old little boy getting to captain the boat for a little while. I wasn't really doing anything, but they let me sit at the helm, and so I got to feel like I was a real life captain, and water's been very important to my spirituality ever since then.
Sure. Hello. I'm Hannah, she, her pronouns. I'm a student at United. I'm so excited for Colette and Jeanne's water ritual today. I've been thinking about it ever since they mentioned it first in class. As far as water memories go, I am from Northeast Tennessee originally, and my home body of water is Watauga Lake. And while I have a lot of memories of the lake, one that comes to mind is at the beginning of the pandemic, I was isolating pretty heavily. I lived by myself and wasn't working, so I wasn't really seeing anyone at the time. And at the beginning of summer, I got up the courage to do an outdoor social activity with some friends, and we all went to the lake, and we swam and we sat, 6 feet apart. But it was just such an edifying and connecting time for me. So that is what comes to mind today.
Thank you all so much for those wonderful memories. It's wonderful meeting you all, and I'm happy to have you here with us this morning. So, water is an incredible phenomenon. It makes up most of our planet's surface, as well as most of our own bodies, and it is responsible for all known life. All ancient people are known to have considered water sacred. Moreover, scholar Turhi Ostegard, and I hope I did her name justice, observes that it is remarkable that water is conceptualized and used as holy in almost similar ways within religions across time and space. In Hinduism, as practiced in Bali, creating holy water is one of the most sacred rituals. Wearing white ritual clothing and chanting mantras, ritual leaders meditate deeply to invoke the river goddess Ganga to enter and embody the water. In Ethiopia, the Orthodox Church believes that the Gish Bay spring is the source of the Blue Nile coming from paradise, hence being utmost holy. Here, those who seek the divine can come in a state of ritual purity to receive healing from the spring. In Judaism, religiously vital ritual purification is achieved through bathing in pure water, a ritual practice called mikvah. Similarly, in Islam, it is common to ritually wash the hands in water before praying. Even famed Western thinkers, including Henry David Thoreau, that believe that water is the most living part of nature, so it is the blood of the earth.
The following verse is from the Taoist scripture. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water, yet for attacking the hard and strong, none can triumph so easily. It is weak, yet none can equal it. It is soft, yet none can damage it. It is yielding, yet none can wear it away. Everyone knows that the soft overcomes the hard, and the yielding triumphs over the rigid. You know, as I was thinking of today's meditation, I was drawn to this line by Leonardo da Vinci, who once said that water is the driving force of all nature. Water is essential for all life to exist. It evokes purity, clarity, and calm. It appeals to all our senses. As we sit here today, imagine the sight and the smell of the ocean. Let us remember how a cold glass of water quenches our thirst on a hot day. Recall the refreshment of a brisk shower or the feel of warm rain on your face. It touches every part of our lives. This morning we will add salt to our water. In the book of Ezekiel in the Hebrew Bible, we're told the prophet Elisha treated a bad water supply in Jericho with salt to purify it and signify new life. Indeed, water is life. It is everywhere. 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water, and 90% of it is pure salt ocean water. Our bodies are about 60% water. It's the only element that can take on different forms on Earth: liquid, solid ice, and vapor. It is truly a miraculous substance. All of us can incorporate blessing water into our daily lives. Before we take a refreshing drink of water, we can give thanks for it. We can feel into the oceans, rivers, streams, and rain, and we can feel gratitude for it. When we shower or bathe, we can take time to connect with the purifying properties of water. As we wash, we can acknowledge the water is cleansing our minds, bodies, and spirits. We can take time and bring loving attention to each body part as we clean. If you want to have a full experience, you can create a spiritual bath, complete with candles, scents, and music. You can then have a sacred immersion experience. An ideal spiritual experience can be had by going to a water source in nature, such as we do today with the Mississippi River. Choose a location and prepare offerings such as leaves and rocks. Write prayers to use in your ritual. Set out the offerings near the water and then sit and connect with the natural setting. Recite your prayers and release your offering. Then give thanks for the blessing of water. Remember, the water flows through our bodies and our very lifeblood. We're all connected through the power of water. May our water ritual today restore us to a state of eternal grace and peace. Water is the perfect gift. Let us be thankful for it. Colette?
In the book of Ezekiel in the Hebrew Bible, chapter 37:1, says, "Swarms of living creatures will live wherever the river flows. There will be large numbers of fish because this water flows here, so where the river flows, everything will live." And of course, we already heard that in our introduction today. In Sikhism, water is a key part of prayer. Water is thought to purify and clean the mind and the soul as well as the body. The Sikhs bathe themselves every morning while performing Islam, the act of washing one's body and soul. In my own tradition, Christianity, we honor the power of water through the transformative practice of baptism. May we learn from these spiritual traditions and open ourselves to the truth of faith.
Let us join in a responsive prayer. After the call for praise, please respond with, "Thank you for the blessing of water." Colette, would you please lead it?
For the water that nourishes plants and food.
Thank you for the blessing of water.
For the water that fills the rivers and lakes and oceans that provide us with drinking water and gives fish life.
Thank you for the blessing of water.
For the water that cools and cleanses us.
Thank you for the blessings of water.
For the water that falls as rain and snow, nourishing the earth.
Thank you for the blessing of water.
Bountiful God, water is a precious blessing. Today we honor and give you thanks. Help us to treat it respectfully and preserve it for all. Amen. This morning we gather some of the elements of the earth. We recognize Saturn, let me light my candle to represent the fire. We recognize Earth. Here's my salt for this ritual. We recognize air. I have a feather to symbolize air. And we recognize, of course, water. And I have my cup of water here. Jeanne has the fruits of the earth as an offering. We offer thanks for all of those things. They are gifts of the divine author of life. Now we offer special thanks for water and its timeless life-giving properties. Without water, there is no life.
And now we ask for blessings on this salt. It is sea salt. It purifies the water. We give thanks for the fruit of the earth. We give thanks for the flowers that bring beauty. May these elements and gifts of the earth add their spirits to this blessed water. May divinity touch this water. May it be blessed with this offering of salt from the earth. Let us pray. Holy One, merciful, omnipresent God, Mother and Father, Creator of all, who shelters us daily in His wings, who warms our hearts in the light of her holy Son. Bless the sacrifice of water which cleanses and washes away all impurities, all toxins, all foreign chemicals. Let them be cast far away. Let them flow outward, return to the skies and the earth, where they will be cleansed. Let water's natural power to heal, cleanse, and transform be amplified in this water. Let it bless all of us here today. Amen.
Amen. Now let us breathe in deeply and breathe out softly so that we center ourselves. Let us calm our minds and seek the wisdom of the infinite. Picture the water in your favorite memory, perhaps. We will now invite you to dip your fingers in the salted water and you receive its spring-free blessings.
Is there anything that any one of you wish to be cleansed or transformed from today? Holy One, we come to you asking that by the hand of your Spirit and your divine servant water, you cleanse the people of what they need to be transformed. I offer now the opportunity for you to go up and dip your fingers in the water. And Colette, could you please lead us in prayer?
Thank you to the earth, the air, the fire, and the water. Thank you to the north, the south, the east, and the west. Thank you to all the glorious creation through which we have been formed. Holy One, bless us today as we depart and ensure peace and safety on our travels as you walk the ways you have prepared for us. Let the cleansing and transforming power of water be a daily blessing upon our lives. Thank you for your presence here. Amen.
And now I would like to offer this as a time of questions and discussion. I know I had never heard until I started preparing for this ritual, I'd never heard that salt was actually used to purify water. I mean, I'd always thought kind of salt water as kind of dirty, you know, something that water need to be cleansed of. I'd never thought of the salt until I researched, especially that passage from Ezekiel, which I found very interesting. I also just love to be by the ocean. I love the smell of it. I love the seagulls that are near it. I love to watch for whales and so forth. So I really enjoy salt water. Seals. And seals. Yeah, sea lions, which I think are pretty goofy. Does anyone else like to say something?
Uriah, you mentioned the ritual of baptism, and I go to an ELCA church, and my pastor actually includes in the liturgy the naming of the bodies of water in the baptism liturgy that surround our area. So that is always really powerful to me, more than just the traditional liturgy.
Yeah, I was thinking about a baptism I did about 4 years ago with a little child who was about 18 months old. And I'd explained to him what we were going to do, and his parents said, oh, you know, he's too young, he's not going to understand what this is. And when we got to the baptism, I was holding him, and he turned his whole body around and rippled his fingers through the water and then looked right at me. And I really felt so strongly that he absolutely, you know, I had told him that baptism was a sign that he was loved by God and that all the people were around him. We were doing this ritual to show that we all loved him. And I really felt like he really understood what was happening. And I've just never had a child that young so engaged in their own baptism. But it just was, and he was just so drawn to the water and making the water ripple during the baptism, and it was really beautiful, and it sort of transformed, it made my understanding of the living waters of baptism even more alive as a result of Hudson's interactions with them.
I would love to know how you came up with the process of this ritual, if it was modeled after other rituals that you were familiar with, just generally the process that you used.
With the idea that the incident was a rainwater purification ritual that I used to do. Just very simply invoking the elements, invoking the cardinal directions, and blessing the water with salt and other natural products. So we also obviously incorporated a lot of prayer and tried to draw from different religious traditions. Is there anything you'd like to add, Jeanne?
When it came up that we were going to be doing these workshops, I have become increasingly, and I was raised traditional Christian, but my experience here at United has so opened me up to various other religious traditions. And especially the readings that we've been doing in class this semester, in eco-justice class. And I'm especially drawn to the Buddhist tradition because I think it offers so much hope to an otherwise, I think, pretty dreary situation with our environment right now. And so when Colette came up with the idea of a water ritual, I jumped right on it. Thank you, Colette, for having that brainstorm, because it enabled me to kind of piggyback right on that, and I've really enjoyed doing it.
I would just like to comment on the fact that I'm a great distance from from the rest of you, being in Cincinnati, Ohio, but I'm just a few short miles from Ohio River, which is a tributary of Mississippi River, and so the ritual that you presented, I think, is a beautiful way of reminding us of how water connects us, and so even though I'm a great distance from you who are in Minnesota, we're still connected by these water systems, these water bodies, these living water bodies. So thank you for giving me some beautiful things to think about.
Thanks. I just felt like sharing something that came up in our opening, actually, as we heard the reading of from Toni Morrison, because it made me remember how long Mississippi is and how much flows in. And yeah, Paul, you talking about the Ohio, wow, Ohio River. Am I Canadian? Yes. The visual that came in was how often we talk about the pollutants that get put into the river and how many things we would have to watch out for coming from Lake Itasca and all the way down to the Gulf. And in my sort of optimist moment, I thought, well, what if we were adding good things? What if those streams were opportunities to contribute positivity, and what would that look like instead of it being a pure, crystal clear lake water turning into whatever it looks like down in Louisiana? What if what we were adding was love, prayers, gifts of cleanliness back into the water? Like, how amazing would that collection be as it enters the ocean? I think that your prayer that took us to the water, the fresh water coming into the ocean, and the river cleansing the ocean, just like reinforced that idea. And now I'm sitting with it, trying to think of like a visual and articulate way to present this idea. So thank you.
So I was actually up at the Mississippi Headwaters, Itasca, 2 weekends ago, and it is a place of little kids just playing and splashing around, and actually a lot of joy usually when I'm there, and I like to hop across the rocks usually. But that is fun to think about. What are we putting into the water?
At the beginning of the ritual, we played the music, or played the sounds of Itasca, and it was interesting. This on the sound recording, it said they had to record it at night because there were so many sounds of people playing and laughing, and to get the pure sound of the water had to be in the middle of the night. So I was sort of sad not to have all the children laughing noises in there, but also to be able to have the river in its solely speaking was also beautiful.
Well, I thank you all for participating in our ritual today. Hope it was meaningful for all of you. And may the rest of your day be peaceful. Thank you.
But she was trying to count the chairs and we were distracting her. Oh. And we love Cindy that.
Yeah, we don't need to.
Oh, Hannah's
I can hear you.
Okay, great. I'm wondering if we should, do we get started or?
Yeah, that's good by me.
Yeah, I didn't know if it started 10:45 or when we were supposed to start, but I know you're leading, and I do not have the power to make you like the big box, so. Yeah. My husband works here, not me, so.
I'm just saying, like, it might be more nicer to see people for the presenter.
There's multiple cameras, actually. But I was trying to figure out if I could make her the focus.
Mm.
Oh, that I know how to do.
Huh?
But I don't think we want. Yeah, whatever.
She's presenting, so I didn't know. Or she might be sharing a screen, or.
Yeah. I will be sharing my screen for a presentation, so.
Yeah, it started at 10:45, so let's go for it.
All right. So are we good to go?
I think so.
All right. Wonderful. Hello, everyone joining. Thank you so much for being here today. Today we are going to be talking about what the land wants to grow, how bioregional intimacy and food sovereignty will help us eat for an earth-friendly future. We have a lot to discuss, so let's go ahead and get into it. Do I have the ability to share my screen? Aha, there it is. Yes. Wonderful. Can everyone see this?
Looks great. Yep.
Great. All right, so aha, there we go. All right. Today, we're going to be talking about global food and agricultural systems and bioregionalism and food sovereignty as counter movements to these modern systems, as well as decolonial frameworks to properly ground and contextualize these ideas. We're also going to discuss how to find native and heirloom foods and adapt our diets to practice more earth-friendly eating. So take a moment and think about a typical chain grocery store in the United States. In the produce section, there are always bananas, avocados, and strawberries. In the meat department, there are proteins from beef and chicken to salmon and shrimp. In the aisles, a handful of major brands dominate the shelves. And no matter which store location you go to across the country, you can reasonably expect to find all of these products year-round. Many of us are accustomed to getting and seeing food this way, as the United States is a primary driver and consumer of the global food market. 98% of the American diet, in fact, is not locally produced foods, but foods transported to us from somewhere else. But this way of eating in agriculture is a huge and rapid shift in human history. And monumental shifts like this are not just material decisions, but undergirded by ethical, philosophical, and spiritual ideas. So let's think about the moral foundations of our mass-scale agricultural systems, ideas that primarily trace back to or became predominant during the Age of Enlightenment and European colonization, and the consequences we face today because of them. I'm highlighting these three beliefs as foundational attitudes that have allowed for the intensive food systems we see today. The Dominion model, world as resource, and terra nullius. The Dominion model is a belief in hierarchical creation with humankind at the top, closest to the divine, that holds a distinct metaphysical divide between humans and all other kinds of life, and prioritizes human desire over all else. This idea comes from a popular interpretation of the Genesis creation account, in which God grants dominion to humanity over all created beings. Next, world as resource is a view of the world that objectifies the non-human life within it and construes the world as reducible to inert, mechanistic inputs and outputs, rather than a holistic body of dynamic, animate interconnections. You can see a connecting thread between the strong hierarchical thinking of the dominion model, which sees humankind as closer to God and ultimately as more important than other kinds of life, and this view, which goes a step further by desacralizing all non-human life and nullifying the interconnections we have with them for the benefit of human civilization. Of course, when I say human civilization, we're talking very specifically about the conception of modernist European civilization. Terra nullius, meaning empty land in Latin, is closely tied to the doctrine of discovery, by which civilized peoples are entitled to land that is unowned or not being cultivated to its fullest potential according to the standards of the civilized. This idea of civilization originally referred specifically to Christian nations taking over indigenous lands, but we can trace the evolution of these ideas to the global food systems today, where secularized Western countries and companies have imposed Western development, agriculture, and methods onto other nations, which we then decide are undeveloped or developing based on their assimilation to these standards. In these three beliefs, we can see an underlying current of entitlement and the ways that this entitlement necessitates the devaluation of nature, of non-human life, and the human life that white Western supremacy has also deemed as objectifiable resources, from the transatlantic slave trade to modern slavery and exploited labor, that make our modern lifestyles possible. In his book, The Nutmeg's Curse, Amitav Ghosh explores the world as resource philosophy that drove European colonization and the environmental degradation it has wrought. While acknowledging that colonization is a long-standing human practice, Ghosh explains what makes the European colonization of the Americas distinctive is the sheer scale and rapidity of the environmental transformations that accompanied it. The colonization of North America by the English occupies a special place. It was here that the processes of terraforming, as opposed to working harmoniously with the natural landscape, were applied most intensively, and with great success, to the sense that large tracts of land were re-engineered to resemble European models so that they could suit European ways of life. The legacy of European colonialism and imperialism continues today in the monopolization of world resources, again, to primarily Western benefit. In post-colonial imagination and feminist theology, Kwok Pulan writes, green imperialism is an integral part of the free trade capitalism developed in the post-Cold War era. While colonization has always involved the exploitation of natural resources, this new form of green imperialism seeks to control and privatize basic necessities of life, as well as patent and monopolize life forms. Green imperialism is exemplified in the global seed market, which relies on patented bioengineered seeds. Now, if anyone had to venture a guess about how many corporations control the majority of the global seed market, what would you think that number is? Would you think 20, 10, less?
Less than 5.
Less than 5? Alrighty. Less than 5 is correct. There are 4 corporations in question that control more than 50% of the global seed market. They are Bayer, Corteva, ChemChina, and Lima grain. And if you, like me, were surprised that Monsanto is not on that list, Bayer actually acquired Monsanto just a few years ago for about $63 billion. So while the name Monsanto is no longer in official use, its products certainly are. These companies and others like them strictly limit how farmers can use the varieties of seeds that they sell. Usually buyers have to sign agreements that prohibit them from saving seeds from their crops, either to use for the next year or to exchange with other food producers. You may wonder why farmers would even choose to buy from these businesses at all. But for many, the only viable or even legal option is to buy patented seeds. Seed marketing laws in countries worldwide have forbidden the sale and sometimes even the free sharing of seeds that have not been commercially certified. Commercial certification requires that the seeds be genetically distinct and unchanging, whereas the majority of seeds that typical farmers use and are handed down through generations are genetically diverse and continually changing. These laws favor corporations, monoculture crops, industrial agriculture, and Western profits over local producers, biodiversity, sustainability, and holistic food systems. The limited variety of plants grown and monocultural use of the land has many negative side effects that contribute to climate change, especially in the ways they impact our water cycles. According to a recent paper written by a global collaboration of researchers, plant uniformity in highly managed landscapes has been linked to the frequency and severity of both floods and droughts, as well as the deterioration of water quality. The researchers describe the issues in this way. When you plant a lot of uniform species of uniform age, you're lowering the biodiversity and homogenizing the water cycle. Basically means you're narrowing the range and response of the water cycle, making it more susceptible to stressors like climate change. Think of soil moisture and rooting depth. If there are a variety of different species, some send their roots down kind of shallow, some intermediate, and some deep. That means there's a lot more soil moisture available to some species and less to others. But if you're in a monoculture situation, as many staple crops are, the rooting depths are more uniform. They don't penetrate the soil to varying degrees like natural vegetation would, and so they can also be more susceptible to drought. These are just a few examples of the widespread consequences that our global food system has caused. Far from the worldview of inert, objectified inputs and outputs, we live in a dynamic world of interdependent life forms and life forces, and exploitation of one ripples out and affects us all. We're going to switch gears and dig into some counter concepts to the global food system we've been talking about. So let's take a nice deep breath in and out, close our eyes, and recall an experience where you felt connected with the life and land of a place you've lived, particularly focusing on your sense memories of that experience and place. What does the place feel like in your mind's eye? And what does it sound like? Were you eating or smelling anything specific in this memory? Reflect on what, or rather on whom, exactly you felt connected with, whether that was the soil between your fingers, the brush of the wind on your face, the insect and bird songs humming in your ears, or the human community playing and laughing nearby. All right, you can open your eyes now, but keep this experience of connection in the back of your mind as we start talking about bioregionalism. So what is bioregionalism? Bioregionalism is a philosophy advocating that human societies are best organized and lived out, connected to our immediate naturally defined area, or a bioregion. Bioregional communities include the unique geography, such as watersheds, mountains and other terrain, climate, plants and animals, and human life of that area. For many bioregionalists, there is an explicitly spiritual aim to reconceptualize and resacralize more than human life as animate life forms. Bioregionalism prioritizes the ecological knowledge of local populations regarding issues that affect their bioregion, as opposed to relying on one-size-fits-all solutions that disregard the particularities of place. And as a specific movement, bioregionalism came out of anti-globalist counterculture sentiments in the 1960s and 70s, as global agriculture, industrialization, privatization, and urbanization were ramping up. But like many movements, emphasizes attitudes and activities practiced by various people groups for much of human history. Kirkpatrick Sale, an early and prominent voice in the bioregionalist movement, summarized bioregionalism like this: the crucial and perhaps only all-encompassing task is to understand place, the immediate specific place where we live, the kinds of soils and rocks under feet, the source of the waters we drink, the common insects, birds, mammals, plants, and trees, the carrying capacities of its land and waters, the places where it must not be stressed, and the cultures of the people, the populations native to the land and those who have grown up with it. That, in essence, is bioregionalism. So you can see here that there is an emphasis on intimacy with the immediate place you live, that you are in community, not just with the people, but with all life forms in your region. Human beings are neither superior to or an inherent detriment to the ecosystem, but are part of the ecosystem and can develop cultural and social patterns based on the ecological capacities of their bioregion. Where globalism can be considered the glorification of non-place, assuming everywhere can fit the same mold of large-scale monocultural production and consumption, bioregionalism is the identification with and celebration of specific places, paying close attention to the unique webs of life that make them up, focusing on their dynamic, ever-changing relationships and needs. In her book, How to Do Nothing, Jeanne Odell reflects on the power of attention and how to reclaim our attentiveness by learning to think bioregionally, as opposed to the simultaneous globalist and individualistic patterns of thought so common today. While this bioregional intimacy requires an intentional, substantial shift to seeing the land and the life around us as subjects in their own right, instead of objects for us to use, she writes, interestingly, my experience thinking bioregionally suggests that while it takes effort to notice something new, over time, a change happens that is irreversible. Redwoods, oaks, and blackberry shrubs will never be a bunch of green. A towie will never simply be a bird to me again, even if I wanted it to be. And it follows that this place can no longer be any place. Any ethics of place, bioregionalism or otherwise, that occurs within a settler colonial context must be grounded in decolonial frameworks that unabashedly center Indigenous sovereignty, or else they will continue the legacies of entitlement and supremacy that undergird our current systems. While the perspective shifts of bioregionalism can be profound and illuminating, there has been a frustrating tendency by many bioregionalist proponents to ignore the history of colonization exacted on Indigenous communities in the United States and the continued reality of settler colonial supremacy. Scholar of religion and ecology, Joseph Wybe, notes the enduring metaphor of becoming native in the bioregionalist movement. For these bioregionalist thinkers, Indigenous people provide the paradigm for local adaptation, but are relegated to forerunners rather than contemporary agents, thereby leaving it up to the current possessors of the land to reinstitute their paradigm. Robin Wall Kimmerer addresses this problematic idea embedded in the semantics of becoming native in her seminal work, Braiding Sweetgrass, as well as an alternative vision modeled after the positive naturalization process of some plants versus the harm many invasive species inflict. She writes, like my elders before me, I want to envision a way that an immigrant society could become indigenous to a place. But I'm stumbling on the words. Immigrants cannot, by definition, be indigenous. Indigenous is a birthright word. No amount of time or caring changes history or substitutes the soul deep fusion with the land. But maybe the task for non-indigenous people is to strive to become naturalized to a place, to throw off the mindset of the immigrant. Being naturalized to a place means to live as if this is the land that feeds you, as if these are the streams from which you drink that build your body and fill your spirit. To become naturalized is to know that your ancestors lie in this ground. Here you will give your gifts and meet your responsibilities. This concept of naturalization versus the idea of becoming native can help non-indigenous bioregionalists to think decolonially about their place in settler colonial lands, as well as their reparative responsibilities to the indigenous and other colonized peoples who live there. This leads us to another helpful counter concept to our current systems, the food sovereignty movement. Food sovereignty is the right of peoples to healthy and culturally appropriate food produced through ecologically sound and sustainable methods, and their right to define their own food systems. The food sovereignty movement began in 1996 by the transnational peasant organization La Via Campesina, and has become central to decolonial mobilization efforts by indigenous and colonized peoples worldwide. Food sovereignty shares many of the values that bioregionalism champions, such as building local knowledge and skills, working within the capacity of the land, and recognizing the different needs of different bioregions, while being explicitly decolonial, advocating for the return of power and self-determination to those who have been exploited by colonialization and imperialism. When we recognize the realities of global migration, both voluntary and involuntary, colonialism and climate change, and how they alter our landscapes, we will be better equipped to adapt our agricultural systems in sustainable and meaningful ways. So food sovereignty paired with bioregional intimacy can help us incorporate culturally significant and climate resilient crops from around the world into our local food systems. A great example of this in my area is Novik Urban Farm, which is located in South Philly. Novik grows a variety of native foods like heirloom tomatoes, zucchini, pumpkin, long beans, and blackberries, but has intentionally cultivated crops that are culturally relevant to their surrounding neighborhood, which has a large and varied immigrant Asian population. Crops including bok choy, shiso peppers, daikon radish, Indian mustard, and Napa cabbage. The growing conditions in Philadelphia have enough overlap with the native growing conditions of these crops across Eastern Asia, so they are able to succeed using the same agroecological methods that Novik uses on the other crops at their farm. So let's take a moment, and you can put it in the chat or you can say it out loud wherever you are. But what do you think of when you hear native or heirloom foods?
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes, okay.
Ones that can reproduce, ones that are able to clone themselves.
Mm, definitely. Mm, definitely. So there's a heritage or a history to these foods. Right. Just so we are all on the same page, a native food refers to any species that originated in a specific area or country. And an heirloom variety refers more specifically to any older cultivar of a food plant that has been passed down through the generations. It's open pollinated, so it is continually evolving to its environment. And it's not used on large scale by industrial agriculture. And frankly, it can't be used on large scale because of its continually adapting characteristics. So corn, for example, is a food native to the Americas, but the corn engineered and patented by, say, Monsanto is a totally different thing than the heirloom varieties such as Iroquois white corn. An awesome resource for learning about native and heirloom foods is the Slow Food Foundation's Arc of Taste, a living catalog of delicious and distinctive foods facing extinction. By identifying and championing these foods, the Arc of Taste aims to keep them in production and on our plates. So on their website, you can choose from 150 countries around the world and further narrow your search to a specific region or state to see which native and heirloom foods are found in that area. A bit about their history and their usage, what people groups they are connected to, and what issues this plant is facing today. It's a wonderful archive and tool for those of us who want to incorporate more of these foods into our diet, whether that means growing them ourselves, buying them directly from farmers and food producers, seeking out restaurants and establishments supporting these foods, or simply recognizing the wild varieties of these plants that are out in our own bioregions. Food and culture writer Alicia Kennedy has said, when we eat, we are making choices about the kind of world we want to live in and the kind of people we hope to be. There is so much opportunity in this daily, seemingly simple act for connection and discovery. So what does it mean to eat in ways that promote bioregional intimacy, support food sovereignty, are sustainable and climate resilient, and just as importantly, not just utilitarian calories, but foods that are pleasurable, spiritually significant, and culturally celebrated? Holistically, what I call earth-friendly eating. Given the overwhelming majority of our current diets are produced through the global agricultural system, any move that includes more local and biodiverse food is a good step. You may not have much access to these specific native and heirloom foods found on the Arc of Taste, but you can start by choosing ingredients where the sourcing is more obvious. Many chain grocery stores like Aldi, Walmart, Kroger, and Wegmans love to advertise when they have regionally sourced items, often mentioning the farmer or producer by name. So including those in your shopping basket over their imported counterparts is a simple and accessible act that supports more localized food systems. If you have them in your area, shopping at a natural food store or a grocery co-op is a good way to incorporate more transparently sourced foods into your diet, as these places typically pay better attention to sourcing than larger chain stores. Farmers markets and farm stands are obviously a great way to develop relationships with the food producers in your community. And many of them will be more than happy to chat about biodiversity, native and heirloom crops, how they eat the food that they grow, and their experiences with the land. It's also an easy way to diversify your diet and try new to you foods. I was recently excited to find amaranth greens at a local producer's market after reading about their nutritious environmental resilience online. And on the recommendation of the farmer, I tried them in a veggie stir fry. They were delicious, and they were not something that I could find at a grocery store, even the natural food stores in my area. It's especially important to support Black and Indigenous farmers who continue to be wildly excluded by our current agriculture and food systems, accounting for only 1.4% and 2.3% respectively of the entire nation's food producers. Many Black and Indigenous producers sell direct to customers online if finding them in your immediate area proves difficult. This is another great way to diversify your plate, since many of these producers focus on rare heirloom varieties of plants, proteins, and other food products. Community gardens have been on the rise in the last several years, and if there's one near you, getting involved will connect you with the land directly and with other like-minded folks in your community who care about local food systems, food accessibility, and sustainability. Finally, I believe the practice of growing your own food is personally edifying and helps us to develop a close relationship with all the non-human life involved, from the microorganisms in the soil, the life of the plants themselves, the pollinators and other insects that the plants will attract, and the water and sun that sustain them. Growing your own food in any amount is a worthwhile task, even if it's just a pot of herbs on your windowsill or by your front door. These are a few pictures from my own backyard garden. This year we have 3 small raised beds and a few pots where we are growing greens, tomatoes, squash, eggplant, cucumber, and plenty of herbs. We sourced most of these seedlings from local farms and got the most beautiful compost from our town's Parks and Rec facility, which was an incredible resource to find and is worth looking into if you have a Parks and Rec facility in your area that you're connected with. We are not doing the perfect job. Most of our initial plants died in May due to a month-long drought. And one of our zucchini plants is looking a little suspect. But the food we have been able to harvest so far has been delicious. And I've noticed an increase in the bees, butterflies, and other insects that the garden has attracted. And as someone who has moved to this area pretty recently and has been feeling a little out of place, tending to these plants has been helping me feel more connected, both to my new bioregion and to myself. To close out this presentation, I'm going to read part of the Covenant Prayer with the Land by Elizabeth Pike. We commit ourselves to this land we live in and to all who belong to it. We will care for it with gentleness, patience, strength, and compassion, rather than merely as something to be bought and sold. We thank God, the great creator spirit, for all the earth provides: water, food, and all the riches above and below the ground, and undertake to use them wisely, sparingly, while ensuring that any development brings danger to no one. As we enter more deeply into the spirit of the land, we see it as a sacrament, an icon of our creator spirit. Let us be still now. Listen to the breath of the spirit that has blown through the land for ages past, today, and always. All right, that is all the information that I wanted to cover today. If anyone has any questions or comments or experiences to share that this has brought up for you, I would love to hear them now. Whether you want to put that in the chat, say it over Zoom, or say it in the room.
Are you recording
Yes, it says on my screen that it's recording.
Excellent. How do we get a copy of this recording?
I believe that the school is going to be publishing all of the recordings at a later date after the symposium. So it should be on their website or on their YouTube page.
And would you be willing to share your slides?
Yeah, I can share the slides. I can ask whoever is uploading this to YouTube to include a link to the slides. And I could also include a bibliography of all the different sources that I went through to come up with this. Yes.
Thank you. The screen is not very clear or crisp, so
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes, I can ask whoever is in charge about that for sure.
Hi, Hannah. Thank you so much. This was really excellently put together. I also am a United student and work a lot with food sovereignty, so I'd love to chat with you more sometime. But one thing I was curious about was telling, like, what is maybe like your social location, what lands are you on, and how does your like personal history with land play into, you know, how you're that piece of how we move forward. I think something I want to add to this conversation overall in my work is the like healing that we have to do through our own stories, and how our healing to land is perhaps preventing us from having a larger scale movement for food sovereignty, that we really have to face what colonization has done to the land in a really big way. So I just wanted to ask if you wanted to say anything about that.
Definitely. I have recently moved to the Philadelphia area just this last year, but previously I was born and raised in Northeast Appalachian, Tennessee, in an area where there are a lot of national parks and forests and protected land. And moving here to a more developed area has really caused a disconnect for me personally that that I was not expecting. Not only as not being around as much obvious, you know, green life and animals, that has been apparent, but also I have felt kind of displaced because these are geography and features that I'm not familiar with yet, and have really made me miss the connections that I had before, but it's also opened my eyes to how probably a majority of people both throughout this land and throughout developed areas in the world see themselves into connection, or rather into disconnection with the land. So a practice that I've been trying to do since I moved here to kind of reinstate this connection has just been sitting in my little backyard. Because on first glance, it feels like there's not as much life around me, but that's simply not true. There are different plants in this area. There are bugs that I'm familiar with and bugs that I've never seen before. There are new flowers and new trees for me to meet and experience. And so I think that it's really important for us to cultivate this connection wherever we are, just by spending time with whatever life that we can observe and see, instead of focusing just on the protected lands in other places. because I definitely relied on that without even realizing it up until this point. And this move has really made me understand the mental state that so many people in nowadays face with their relationship to nature. If they see nature at all, they think of it as something to visit or to go to or to use for entertainment. But otherwise, they think of their natural habitat as something that is not very lifelike. So I think that really any small move that makes us pause and connect to the life that is around us helps us see life everywhere and the value of it everywhere. Actually, in one of my undergrad classes, biology and literature was the class, we had an assignment throughout the semester to pick one place, visit it once a week, and detail what we noticed in that area, what the grasses were, what the plants were, what animals we saw, what insects we saw, what people we saw, and to notice week by week the changes as the seasons progressed and how much rain it got in this part of the year versus another part of the year. And I think that practice of intentionally showing up and paying attention is really important.
Thank you for that. Is there anyone else who has any questions?
I just wanted to share, I'm so grateful that as another white woman, you have done your due diligence to really pull back and include so much of the narrative that has been left out of these conversations. So, you know, my heart is just swelling that I'm not alone, that there is a growing body of understanding. And curious about some of the ways, have you thought of amplifying this message? Because that seems to where I'm hearing is that there's a lot of us that understand, but we haven't gotten to that amplification piece yet. So anything you want to say on that would be welcome.
Definitely. I think first and foremost, it's important, especially for white people, to name the not only the historical but the ongoing effect that colonization has on our communities and how it affects our relationship to the land. So I think for me, coming from my background where there were more immediate features of trees and water and mountains, I think for people growing up there, it was easy to just assume that our connection to that was simple in some kind of way, that we were here with the land and that was enough. It was enough to appreciate it. But it's simply not true. It's not enough to appreciate something like the land because the land has been stolen. And no amount of appreciation changes that fact. And romanticization of a kind of land back movement that rejects urbanization and rejects privatization, those things are great, but land back is not for white people, right? It's for the indigenous people of this land, and it is also in reparations for people that have been abused by this land through slavery and through exploited labor. Because so much of our food systems, past and present, rely on non-white people's labor and their humanity, you know? So I think just first acknowledging it and talking about it and pointing it out in conversations about nature is very important. But also, I think it's important that we bring these conversations to other places that food is involved in. So I think a lot about a series of potlucks that I used to go to in my hometown. And people would often talk about the foods that they grew to use it, or like the beautiful produce that they found, or things like that. And I think mentioning in those social settings where food is a focus, that we need to talk about the connections that these foods have to the indigenous peoples of this country. Beyond that, I used to be a pantry organizer for a mutual aid group back in Tennessee. And one of the explicit frameworks that we had in our community guidelines was about food sovereignty, that people should be able to make decisions for themselves about what they eat and what they need. And sometimes that would not be the cheapest thing for us to buy. Sometimes we would have to go out of our way from our normal grocery trips to find something. I'm thinking in particular about an older Mexican woman who took part of our grocery delivery service, and the foods that she was asking for would often come from a Hispanic market in our area, which was further away from the stores that we would go to. And a lot of people thought that was kind of a hassle, but it was really important for us to honor her request of what she needed and what was appropriate for her and what was significant to her, instead of forcing her to take what she could get. So I think these are all different things on a smaller and social level that are important to amplify. Beyond that, I think that it's really important to be reading from different viewpoints, right? I don't think it is enough to read something by one Indigenous author and then feel like you kind of have it all figured out, because Indigenous peoples are not a monolith. So it's important for us to be engaging with a lot of different viewpoints. It's important for us to be prioritizing voices that are often left out of the conversation. One organization that I really like is called A Growing Culture. And it is a food sovereignty movement and media group that specifically focuses on the indigenous and peasant farmers around the world and their struggles against global food systems. And hearing directly from these people, I think, is so important for us. So those are some things that I think are important as far as amplification of these messages, and how we can kind of get beyond just the talking stage and actually start to put some of these things into practice. Yeah.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Thanks. I know I have to go, so I just wanted to say thank you so much again. Really appreciate this.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for being here. Really quick, I can go ahead and drop a link to the slides I used in the chat for anyone who is zooming in. Let me go ahead and get that. And I will also ask about including a link to this with the recording when the school puts it on their website. Can you say that again? I couldn't hear you, sorry.
Can you share your email in the chat as well?
Yes.
So contact you?
Certainly so. Putting that in now. There's really nothing more I love to talk about than food. So if anyone wants to message about how to find and cook these foods specific to your context. I would love to help you figure out some of the farms and groups and organizations in your area that you can get involved with and amplify, as well as cooking tips for using some of these foods that many of us are unfamiliar with, and feasibly making them part of our actual diets, instead of seeing them as kind of like an intimidating thing to mess up. Food would rather us try. These plants would rather us try to have a relationship with them and to bring them into our lives. And sometimes maybe the first time you cook something, it won't be very good, but you can always try again, and you can always try in a different way. So I would love to talk to anyone about those things too.
I'd love to share a story on that. I am just geeking out about pigweed. I don't know what they call it in Philly, but it's a plant that is the bane of monoculture agriculture, and
Okay.
they spend a lot of money on poisoning this plant, and it's one of the only so-called weeds, the flower that we don't want there. It has this ability to resist all of the glyphosate. So it's an incredibly adaptive plant, but it's also very high in protein and nutrition. So when you were saying amaranth, it's actually an amaranth family. Have you ever had any experiences cooking pigweed? Are you familiar with the plant that I'm talking about?
Oh, I actually have not heard of pigweed. There is a chance it could be called something else here.
I'm sure.
But when I went to that farmer's market recently and saw amaranth that the farmer was selling, I talked to him about how excited I was to see it. And I was like, oh, I've been reading about this. It's so environmentally, I started using kind of these perhaps academic or technical terms. And he was like, yeah, I love growing it. It's great to eat, and it's great to grow, and in these kind of just very like frank ways that experience provides instead of just reading about. And after that I was like, oh well, maybe I can plant this, if it's easy and I think it's such a great thing, then why am I not putting this out there? So one of the greens that we're growing this year is a kind, I can't remember the variety off the top of my head, but it's a mustard green that I got from Novik Urban Farm, which I mentioned in the slides. And talk about growing like a weed. We couldn't kill that if we tried. It has been so abundant, even though we had a tremendous drought in May. Our county only got 5% of the usual rain that it gets for the entire month. That did not faze the mustard a single bit. And its flowers are
so nummy,
attracting so many bees and butterflies to our area that I haven't seen before. And so now I have this abundance of mustard that I'm like, all right, well, I guess I can use this instead of the spinach that I would normally buy from the store for this soup, or I'll just use mostly mustard and kale, which I grow, to make the greens instead of going and buying greens that I haven't grown. So I think that turning to weeds is going to be very, very important for our food futures, because if they are so resilient against all of the best efforts of industrial agriculture, we should use that resistance and recognize it as a strength instead of a problem.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to share, since you're talking about geeking out about how to cook these kinds of foods, and the importance of being able to talk about this in conversation, right? Like your amplification. I just happened to share this at a kind of a symposium where a bunch of farmers got together, and there was an African-American couple from Africa. And they said, oh, pigweed, yes, we eat this all the time. And I said, how do you cook it? Like, nobody knows.
Yes.
Oh, well, we just add pepper leaves and tomato leaves. And my white privilege was just like, wait, that's poison. I was taught that you can't eat tomato leaves, that you can't eat leaves. and ultimately, you know, looked it up and shared it with another group, and they didn't believe me and they had to look it up. But it was just this really great talking point of how we can do that. The other piece that we need to share, though, is that these kinds of natural plants have oxalates in them, so they need to be treated differently. If we're going to eat a lot, a grand amount. If you're just going to grab a handful and put it in your stir fry, that's not an issue. But if you're going to eat them on a regular basis, then they need to be processed differently. But it makes sense to me to add this into future foods, and how do we eat sustainably, to really start looking at these so-called plants that are prolific and drought resistant, and start getting them into creating recipes for value-added products. Yes. Right, in the farmers markets, that they're amaranth and pigweed pickles, or amaranth and pigweed greens, you know, and being able to share the story behind that. So thank you for this presentation and allowing us to talk about that.
Definitely, thank you. And one thing I'll mention before we close out, because I do believe we're at time, there is a wonderful podcast that I have listened to recently called Climate Cuisines. And it is from the Whetstone Radio Collective. And this podcast takes different climate resilient foods in different parts of the world and talks to farmers in those areas about how they grow them and how they eat and prepare them, and amplifying these foods and their ability to adapt to our changing environment, putting that into tangible and actionable terms. So I can't recommend that podcast enough.
That's awesome. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that will be it for today. Thank you so much to everyone who came, and to anyone who will be seeing this in the future.